Welcome to Triple F, bringing life to your faith, family, and finance.
Well, welcome everyone to our Triple F show segment, Family, How to Raise a Kingdom Family. And we are truly excited to have our special guest speaker here today. But before we chime on, we just want to welcome you all from wherever you're chiming in from. If you have any questions, you definitely can share them through our Facebook page if you're watching from there, and then also via our YouTube channel. But we're going to jump into it and talk about our mission statement here. What we're about as Triple F, our mission is to equip people in areas of faith, family, and obviously finances. Our desire is to add value to people's lives by helping them reinforce their faith, build stronger relationship with their family, and help people elevate their finances to a greater capacity. So we are excited. We got a special guest speaker here today. Is none other than my younger sister, Miss Emeline, chiming in from California, Hawthorne, California. And this should be interesting dialogue to have. I've never actually had any of my family member on the show, so this is the first one, and I'm so honored and blessed to have my little sister with me to share. So why don't you introduce yourself for those of our audience who may not know you, Ms. Katoa, a little bit of your background and what do you currently do right now and where you reside.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And this is definitely going to be interesting. Just being here with you. I'm so incredibly honored to be here and so proud of what Triple F is doing with you and the squad. But just to share a little bit with everyone else, I'm here in Hawthorne, California, like Danny said. Grew up in Inglewood, California. And my background is corporate America. I used to work for a law firm. Prior to that, I was a college student. And that was my first job. And I was afraid to have that job. And it turned out being a great prerequisite because then I joined a company called Legal Shield. And so that's where I am today. And then I also been involved in different ministries and just so many amazing things. I help take care for my 82-year-old mom who still thinks she's 43. And she is a joy to be around every day, every morning. So turn it back to you.
Awesome. Well, it's an honor and privilege, sis, to have you here. I think, people have always heard from my perspective of how we were raised in so many ways. I even had my own family on the show to share in this segment. So that was challenging period. But now it's great to have another perspective, member of the family, share from your perspective. So I'm even intrigued to listen and see from your perspective of your experiences through growing up. So let's jump into it, yes. Sherry. So the first question is to explain, what family was like for you growing up, like without order, or, that's kind of like the format of what we're saying, but, what was it like for you?
Wow, what a question there. And I tell you what, the first thing that came to me that was just so obvious is obviously we didn't have much growing up, but order was not the issue. And I mean like physical order, because our mom was over the top, very orderly on us. So we didn't lack order. Our father worked all the time, but when he came home, we were in order. We were fed. We did our homework for what she thought we did, because our mom didn't speak English, so she couldn't help us with our homework. So she raised us with the iron rod. It was just so strict. It was so strict. It was like too much order, and you're like, oh, I wish I had a little bit of disorder here. So I think that, of course, I appreciate it today looking back, Danny. I'm sure you do too. But I think one of the things looking back that I appreciated about her having the order is that we turned out, good generally. But I also know that deep down inside, I had a little bit of resistance. I was a little bit rebellious towards certain social norms and things they wanted to teach me. So I guess we'll cover that a little bit later. But I know for a fact that I appreciated that order of what my mom was able to do as a stay at home mom while dad went to work. So those are things that I remembered her just doing that. And I didn't enjoy a lot of it. I appreciate it today. But
Yeah.
growing up, it was just like, oh my gosh, I gotta be in place. I gotta get this right. I gotta do this. So that's my version of order. And it was very helpful. And of course, we'll talk a little bit more about what Jesus did over the process, but to help us all
Yeah.
out.
No, that's great. That's great because yeah, now that we're both adults, we're able to reflect and replay, and how grateful we are for those orders that she would force us to do. Right, like without those things, I know that many of our friends, families, falls into the trapping of our environment, and without mom putting that down, I don't think we would have fall right into the trapping as well,
Mhm.
of what our environment or what our environment presented to us in that way. So that's awesome. There's so much takeaways to be able to share from that, but we'll keep moving forward here
Yes.
to the next question. So, why is it important? Why is family important to you?
Man, what a good question. And I think for even listeners listening in, we all have our own versions, right? But I know for a fact for myself, now that we're adults, I know for a fact that family is important to me because it creates foundation,
Mm,
right? For myself. And even if you're not married with kids and you're a single woman like myself, you are a family within yourself. Like I learned that recently through Ecclesia. Like
mm,
you are a family. You cannot say you're single and you're not a fan. You are a family within yourself. So that was foundation. I that's what family means to me. The other one was the ability to relate to other people.
mm,
I feel like if I didn't have the kind of culture and family that we had growing up, being raised like in this culture that had this the family that or parents who were strict and traditional in another culture, raised in America, I don't think I would be who I am today to be able to bring that love and that family environment into the world I was going to every day in school or if it was work, you know. I appreciate that more now, of course, but I see
yeah,
that. I see how being raised in a different culture helped me to relate to the world and also learning how to build with other people.
mm,
One of the things that we were taught is that we had to learn how to get along with each other, even no matter what our differences were,
right.
right? So even if someone did something that was just so horrific in the family, we just like figure out a way. As mom always said, figure a way out. Because you could choose a spouse and you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your siblings.
Right,
Of course, I
right.
grew up, I started learning other stuff like, oh, everybody's siblings are not the same. But that allowed me to relate to the world. That allowed me to take those philosophies into the world. So I know for a fact that family helps to form that in a person. I'm a product of that. So,
No, that's
and
awesome.
we're a product of that.
Amen, amen, and amen. No, I so now having family of my own, I'm so grateful for the picture that mom and dad painted for us.
Yeah.
Like they showed us the importance of it. Also showed us the responsibility from a man's point of view to a woman's point of view. And I think one of the key elements that you shared was how they preached to us and taught us how to honor and care and love one another, as siblings,
Yeah.
and like growing today in ministry, you learn that you can't give what you don't have, right? You can't give what you don't have, and you can't be a blessing to someone if you walk around wounded, and
Wow.
so I think about like those things, learning that today, those were seeds that were planted in us, as we were growing up at a young age. We just didn't see it. We didn't have the capacity to be able to create discernment like we can do today. And so I appreciate that, Nina.
Yeah.
All right, Terry, let's keep it moving. So the
Yes.
next question here is, describe some of the issues and problems in families that are, that you may see today in our environment that is not in order. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Well, families that are out of order, I think about Triple F. Like Triple F is faith, family, finance, right? That's an order. Like this ministry has an order to it. And so in our family, I want to say that we always had faith, but it was like faith was first, but it was like church. Like you had to go to church on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So even though the philosophy was right, I'll be very honest with everybody. I didn't want to go to church Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, choir rehearsal, children rehearsal. Then you had to go and, see a pastor and do it. It was just so many things that involved faith that we grew up with this right order in our household, but it was like it just felt like it was hard work, if that even makes sense.
Mm,
And I saw that with us, but I also saw families that didn't have that order,
right.
right? So even though we had that order and it didn't feel comfortable to me all the time, or to both of us or to all of us, because we have our own influence when we go to school or work. But I saw families who didn't, who I've seen families who put finances first,
Yeah.
right? And maybe it was something they had to do. I've even seen people put their children first, right? Like the worship of our kids
Mhm.
and things of that nature. And man, I will tell you the truth, just by witnessing, like even going back in my memory to families that I saw parents do that for or to, the kind of suffering that the family is still going through today. Because I saw these are our own family. All
Mhm.
right, I don't know if they're here watching me, but and
They
I love
will,
them
they
very.
will be. They will be watching after this. They're gonna be
Forgive
on
me.
YouTube. Mhm.
And I see them still suffering so much to do because the order wasn't right. And it didn't mean they weren't good people. But
Right.
as much as I dislike what the amount of pressure that came from our parents, I understand tonight because I look back and those same kids who got so many breaks from their parents are still suffering under that kind of lack of order, even today as adults, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to judge because I love, we're just fortunate, but I love everybody no matter where they come from. But that's what I understand today in terms of order. It's things I've witnessed, and there's a really great quote that I've heard shared over and over again that goes, "It's wise to learn from your own mistakes, but it's even wiser to learn from others' mistakes."
No,
So,
definitely.
so no one's life is in vain. Even if you get to see it, it's not a place for me to judge, but just for me to learn from that person. Of course, I'm learning that later on in my life, but yeah, that's what it means to me.
No, that's so good. And yeah, I can sit here and name certain situations, not only that we encounter, but I'm, you know, I also don't want to paint the picture that we were perfect as well.
No,
Um, I guess that's obviously not our intention, but
yeah,
I think what I'm so grateful for is how they place God in the center of everything, even when we didn't have anything, even when we stayed in the projects,
yeah,
on Century Boulevard, before
hmm
Dad was able to purchase our first home, and just I just think about that, like you know, when you're faithful to the small things, God will bless you with the big things. And to just to be able to see the evolution of dad and mom's faith, even through all those hard times, and the challenging times, to see us, um, be able to enjoy the lifestyle that we get to live today, and the freedom to be able to walk in is just, it's amazing. I'm very blessed and honored. I'm trying to hold it all together.
Amen.
Let's finish this, but that's a great answer. Let's keep moving to the next question. Okay, so next question is, what can we do? What can we do to help solve some of the issues today, some of the problems in families today? What are some of the advice you would say? If there's one or two things
Yeah.
that people could do to enhance or have a greater connection with their family.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, I actually cried when I read this question, and I feel like I'm going to cry right now, and I'm going to try to hold it together because I know for a fact, excuse me, everybody. I forgot to get my tissue. I should have brought my tissue with me. But I know for a fact that if a person doesn't heal first, it's almost impossible to heal your family. So, like, that's my best point, and my only piece of advice tonight is I know a family can heal, friends can heal, cities can heal, but it starts with the person, right? So when you're healing, then it starts to permeate to your partner if you're married, or if you're around your family, or whoever it is that you stay with in your home. And then from your home, when you go to work, things start to change at work. And when I say heal, I don't mean like, oh, everything is just better. Healing is when you start to say you're sorry immediately after you made the mistake. And maybe to the same person that you've probably offended twice. You got to learn to go back, because pride can keep us from apologizing, But I just know that's why I'm in tears, because I know healing is the first step. And that's my only advice that I have, because that's as far as I can go right now, because that's my personal experience at the moment, is healing myself. So,
no, that's good.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. We'll charge you later for it. No, that's so true. Because I think like a lot of people try to, they try to fix people, right? Like, what's wrong with that person? Let me go over there and tell them what's wrong so that they can fix themselves. And I think like I can only speak from a Tongan perspective, because that was my experience. We go there and it's like we tell them off, it's like, get yourself together, and it's not from a place. Well, I think the intention is from a place of love, but the impact, it is not from a place of love, right? And I think it just leaves the person more wounded than than prior to the situation. But I so agree with you today, understanding that the mind cannot transform until the heart is healed. And, no matter, I was speaking on a podcast the other day, and the gentleman asked me a question like, hey, is there any last thing you want to share? Any last wisdom you wanted to share with our audience before you close out? And I was just like, real quick, I said, Lord, what do you want me to share? And it was that I said, well, one of the things I've learned is that if we don't focus on healing our heart first, it doesn't matter what we try to do, it's never going to work, because a hurt person, we have already heard it so many times, that hurt people, right? Like, so we will cut and bleed over people that didn't hurt us in the process, right? And so that's what hurt people do when they're not healed. But it's like the illustration that I use is like taking a fertile seed and placing it on a concrete and hoping that it grows. It's just not going to grow, right? But if you take that same seed and put it on a healing heart, it's like putting it in a fertile ground. That not only it will grow, but it will multiply in that way. So I so agree with you, 110%.
Wow.
Emeline, great answer, and appreciate you sharing your heart with the rest of the Triple F family.
You set me up.
Oh, it's a good setup. Okay, so our next question is, okay, so can you share some practical ways? What are some practical ways that you have done or you've seen our family do to strengthen family relationship of someone that's listening out there today?
Yes, sir. The first thing that came to mind or came to me that I believe is one of the best practices for any family, but really for a person, is to number one, find words that breathe life, that speak life into others, right? Because that's something we can control is our speech. Like we can all control our speech. And if you ever find that the more life you speak over a woman or a man, you get a different reaction from them than if you yell at them and you tell them that they're nobodies. Like I dare you to do that to your coworker tomorrow. I mean, don't do it, but like if you go to your coworker and you just start yelling, you're not gonna get nothing from your coworker. And bosses have figured out, and employers have figured out too, that if they keep working their employees without coming up with a different way to motivate them, they're not going to get more production from that same employee. So when I think about families for us, that's a practical application every day, is when we speak life over the people that we love, even if they irritate us. Because, sometimes it's the people closest to you who can send you over the top, right? With just like something silly they might say, or they might ask for the remote control, like my mom does in the middle of a Zoom. She'll come into my room and start talking to me, and I'm over here on a real, business Zoom, and she'll like, "Oh, I need the TV turned on." I'm like, "You don't see me on the Zoom, Mom?" I'm like, and it just make your blood pressure go up, and and no one knows, like nobody knows but you. Because she's at the door looking at me, and she does not care that I'm on the phone talking to anybody. So how do you speak to that? How do you deal with those everyday things? Because I'm thinking I think people think about the big stuff, but it's the everyday stuff. So how I speak life over her no matter what, and then speaking peace over my environment. Okay, when my environment is my home, and my environment is also where I work. My environment is here in my city, and to pray, right? So those are practical applications. Speak life, speak peace over your environment, speak life over the people, peace over your environment, and stop reacting to negative things. And I was notorious for reacting to things that stimulate me negatively, because I felt like I had to solve the problem. I would look like a hero if I went to the rescue, even though I had nothing to rescue in the situation, but I'm still feeling like I got to control. Let me go over there and fix. And it's, I'm learning this hard lesson now, especially in this journey in ministry, that you don't control. Jesus controls, because who has access to the heart of man that I don't? Right? So instead of me trying to manipulate and control someone to do what I want, why don't I pray for the most difficult person? And so that still comes back to what? Praying. But I find myself reacting less now today to the negative stuff that happens, even my own negative thoughts, like defeating thoughts that I have worshiped for so long. And I remember when he used to ask me that, like, why do you worship strongholds? I'm like, I think you should find another word, because I don't think I worship my strongholds. And I didn't understand what you were trying to say, but I received it. I was like, okay, one day I'm going to get it. Maybe not right this moment, but I'll get it one day. So those are things that I believe we can all do, and they're so easy, but so many of us ignore that, and we still want other people to change when we actually have the power to influence things around us by what we said. So,
Wow. I forgot the verse, but the scripture says the power of life and death lies in the tongue, right? Like we either speak life or we speak death. And I think consciously and unconsciously, we as people, we all want to do better for one another, but not having the tools and the mechanisms to be able to apply practical applications. And most people just doing the work, right? That's one thing like I'm learning even at the age of 48 is if I don't do the work, no one's going to come do it for me or my family, So having to teach my family, especially my kids, what I have teenagers today, right? So they got school, then they got sports, then they come home, and I got another assignment for them at home, waiting for it. And then like they don't want nothing to do with it. And I say, hey guys, it's the same principle applies. No one's going to come do it for you. No one's going to come do it for us. And if it's to be, it's up to me. It's up to us to make this happen. And, definitely sharing that from a father's heart really permeates the information across versus, how we learn was scream, shout, angry, and control. And then we realize that, control is just fake power.
And wow, I never thought about that. Control is fake power.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so awesome. Great job, Nina. I think that's it. That's part of our presentation. Any last word that you want to share with our Triple F family that's listening and today?
Absolutely. And thank you for everybody tuning in, wherever you are on YouTube and Facebook. And please share this with others. But there's no advice I really have. I just remember this word that we say often is reset the button. Every day when you get up in the morning, you have an opportunity to reset your button and go again, which means we have to abandon whatever sin was yesterday, whatever disappointment was yesterday, forgive yourself, then reset the button and know that God has given you another chance to do it again. So that's it.
Wow, reset. Yes. No, it's funny because, this it's not what we know, right? It's what we know that we apply application to that shows us fruit, right? And there's a lot of people that knows a lot of stuff, but because they don't apply discipline or action to what they know, they walk around with a lot of information on them, So appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time and your wisdom. You did amazing. Dad would be really proud of you. So is Mom. I'm very proud of you. That was a great show.
Thank you, bro. I love you and appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. And thanks for making the time to fit us into your busy schedule. So we appreciate you. And so share with people how they can get a hold of you if they need any support or anything like that. Are you on Instagram or social media?
Yes. I'm on Instagram, guys. I'm on Instagram. My Instagram is always popping, by the way. I mean, I like Facebook too, but Instagram is my thing. So you guys go there. I have a women's movement there called Ladies of Justice and Table Talk Tuesday. And I'm always posting on there. And that's Katoa 5, Katoa 5. And then you can find me here on Facebook. Just type in my name first and last, and you'll find me. But follow and let's connect and let's encourage each other on our walk daily.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emeline, Katoa. Have a great night. And Triple F family, look, we got giveaways. We got some free good stuff to help you raise your family. Also, if you want to increase and elevate your finances or grow in your faith, we put together a free ebook for you, right? It's free. Like this, all the shows that we've done, we take away some of the meats and potato of the shares and put it together instead of charging people, we're giving it to you free out of our heart. We want to make a difference while making a living. And so make sure you subscribe to DannyKatoa.com. Just send us your email address and we'll send you, you can download the ebook from there. Also, you can subscribe to our social media page as well on Instagram and Facebook. And we are excited, and that is it. Oh, next week, the following week, next week, we will not have a show because it's Thanksgiving. But the first week of December on our faith show, we will have Michael Humes, all the way from Maryland, D.C., a mailman that went from mailman to being a multi-millionaire today, not only being a multi-millionaire, but help many people become millionaires as well. He will be on our show in the first week of December. So take care, take charge, and God bless, and have a blessed Thanksgiving